four letters that are all capitals and something that says buy, boom, filter it out, right? By 2006, there were a lot of spammers that were getting huge results in the market. The problem was the only ones that were getting any results were all graphical-based spam. They were all pictures. So there were a lot of researchers that were missing huge portions of what was going on in the market at the time. And here I explain exactly what I just said. Quote from Frieder and Zittrain's paper basically saying how they found their data, which was they went through and they searched for stock symbols in the text of emails, which for the data set they were looking at, 2004, 2005, worked. It totally worked. Everything was still text back then. Graphics were just starting to come out in spam, so no problem. They found that correlation. But others who followed their methods started to see nothing happening anymore. So that becomes the question, right? You've got all this graphical spam. You know that the graphical spam is what produces results in the market, but you also know that as far as sorting it using any automated means, the whole point of them doing the graphics, the whole point of how they're formatting it is to prevent that. It's to prevent spam filters from reading what it is in the message. So how do you sort graphical spam? Anyone? Anyone? By hand. That's how you do it. So we did. We decided, we played around with a couple image recognition type programs a little bit, and we decided to do it by hand. So we did. That's how you do it. You can see on the left side, that's on my computer, there's a folder which says week 3, and there's a whole bunch of folders that have stock symbols, and in each folder there's hundreds and hundreds of emails. And that's how we did it. So we sorted it. We followed it for 14 weeks. Kyle and I hand-sorted about 50,000 spam emails and resulted in 12,168 stock spam emails. Pretty good. So this allowed us to sort it in real time as we got them. So what could we get out of this? Obviously, we already said we know previous results of what happened. But there's two things that we can infer from the data as we collect it. We can figure out the relative botnet power, and we can identify the spammer's unique signature. And here's where the fun starts. So let's talk about botnet power, okay? You sort the messages by the actual stock symbol, and then you plot the total emails over time for each symbol. Pretty simple. Let's look at a graph. So this is what we're looking at, right? Now, I understand it's a little hard to read, but let me explain. The y-axis here on the left side, that's the total emails received for a particular stock symbol, okay, for a particular touted stock. So each line that I've graphed represents one particular symbol. You'll see I've identified GDKI, that one that we tracked in the first week. The x-axis is time. The yellow lines are the divisions between days. We start at market close on Friday, and we end at market close on Friday, again, the other side. So I've got green dotted lines that are vertical that show when the market opens, red dotted lines that show when the market closed, and you start to see some interesting things. So you'll notice that when we already saw from the previous results that GDKI had the biggest impact on the market that week. And then we graph it, and we see, they also sent out the most email that week. Okay, interesting. Makes sense. A lot of these other stocks you see at the bottom, the little tiny lines that kind of pop out and disappear all week long, they got nothing, right? Nobody bought their stocks, nobody cared. But another relevant fact you see, if you look in the sections between market open and market close, a lot of times you see that there's no emails sent out during that time. Right there you see just these beautiful flat spots every time the market is open. Presumably, the guys that are sending the emails are probably busy trading at the time. They're probably busy selling those stocks. That may explain why they're not busy sending out emails at that time. So that's interesting, right? GDKI. And the real take-home from these, you start to look at these a lot, and you look at a lot of these graphs, and you figure out that the slope of those lines, that's giving you the rate at which they're sending out these spam emails, okay? What you find is that the rate that you see on any particular spam email stays constant for a particular botnet that's sending spam. What does this allow you to do? It allows you to identify botnets or spammers, whatever one organization sending out email, shall we say. It allows you to identify them just by the slope of the graph between weeks. And that's what we did. Next, let me talk again about the spammer signature. Spammer signature is just a fancy way of saying one guy's email kind of looks the same from week to week. He's got his own particular style that he does. Everyone's got their own bag of tricks for evading the spam filters, right? And those are very kind of closely guarded style kind of secrets, right? So there's the layout, the encoding of the email, any type of CAPTCHA type obfuscation, little squiggly things to make sure that a spam filter can't read the text, and just generally their style. It's kind of hard to quantify, but it's really, really easy when you're looking at 50,000 spam emails all the time. It turns out you just recognize stuff really quickly. So let's play a little game, right? Here's an email from someone, and it tells me to buy this stock, SRRL, okay? And we're in week N of watching these things, and it turns out that SRRL ends up doing fantastically that week. Oh, great, but now the week's over, so what does that do for us next week? Well, next week we receive a bunch of spam emails, and in week N+1, which of these emails might be from the same spammer? It's pretty obvious, Maybe it would take some work to make an algorithm that instantly identifies this, but if you're a human and you're staring at these, you see it. You see it instantly. You see it the very first email you get from this spammer. You know who that spammer is, and you know what his results were the previous week, and the week before that, and the week before that. You become kind of intimately connected with these spammers. You've been watching every single email that you get from them, and you kind of feel like you know them after a while. It's a little scary. But, so that's their style, right? So then we connect the two. We connect the style and the botnet power, and then we look at the graphs. Now, this is the graph you already saw of week 1. We have GDKI, and then we look at week 2, okay? Here's week 2. Can you spot the same spammer? Yeah, he's like the exact same line, right? The slope of his line is exactly the same. It's unchanged, but it's a different stock symbol, right? It's SBNS. Okay, now we go into our spam and we look at what SBNS that email looks like. Hey, it looks exactly like the GDKI email. Okay, great. So we know that this is the same guy sending us this email. So what does that tell us? Well, we know that the week before, he sent out a whole ton of emails and he got a huge result on the market. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist at this point to kind of extrapolate. And the results that we actually found, because we watched this for a number of weeks, without even considering buying any stock, we looked at this and we found that the relative strength of any given botnet stayed relatively constant over time. They were trying to send out at the maximum rate that they were able to achieve on their botnet, and because of that, they achieved a relatively fixed slope each time. And then their style of their email was going to stay the same because they wanted to use their same set of tricks to evade the spam filters. So another example, right? This is week 3 now. We see SRRL there. He's got the same slope. He's the same spammer. You go to this email. Oh, yeah, he's the exact same guy. Okay. But now we've got two other guys. Two other stocks popped up kind of out of nowhere, week 3. And they've both got pretty good slopes. The first one kind of rises somewhat slowly, but the second one is very, very specific slope, right? It's very recognizable. It's got a very fixed value. The problem is, you look at these stocks week 3, and you look at the results on the market. And what do you think results they had? I mean, they were sending out more stocks than the first guy. What do you think they had? Nothing. Nothing at all. Like zero volume, right? Why was that? Okay, well, first we've got that SRRL. Okay, looks like the same one. Now here's the other two. What's the problem there? It's text. It's text. Everybody filters out text. So what do you have here? These guys were pushing an enormously powerful botnet. The strongest one we could track on any of our stuff. But they were getting no results because they were just sending text. And they didn't understand that. Because we kept seeing them week after week. This week, week 4, they start to mix it up. We've got our same dependable guy pushing MPRG, same results in the market every single week. And then we've got these really, really steep sloped lines right here. As you can see, blue, orange, pink, blue. They're all over the place. They've got a huge steep slope. They're sending tons and tons of emails really quick, as fast as they can, and they're getting no results. And, they try some different strategies, right? One week you see them, and this week you can count it up right there. They touted 5 different stocks that week. 5 different stocks, and they got nothing on all 5, right? They didn't quite understand what was going on. But the other guy, just touting one, doing dependable, simple botnet, boom, he's good. Once again, there's our same guy doing the same dependable thing. Once again, same botnet. You can see the dependable guy going on, and you can see these huge sloped guys with their super powerful botnets just crushing everyone with text-based email that no one is seeing. And they got nothing, right? So these are the sorts of conclusions we were able to reach just from looking at the spam we were getting, and that's it, right? Nothing. So that's pretty much that, right? Week 5, same thing. The text-based guys are getting nothing. Week 6, the text-based guys, they go all out, right? They're done with switching stock symbols. They're done with everything else. Man, they are going to hit this one like nobody's business, and they do. You'll see the scale on my graph has changed. It's no longer up to 300. It's now up to 900. They're crushing like everyone else in the world with this spam, and this week they still got no return, just nothing. The other guy, still the same results. Now, two interesting things happened in week 6, and this is where things actually got interesting for us, because we'd been watching the 5 previous weeks. We'd been seeing these ridiculously dependable returns, and we had been able to predict them every single time, right? So we were like, oh man, let's get in this market as quick as possible. This is awesome. And then week 6 comes along, and week 6, that curve on WEXE, he sent out the same dependable amount of emails. They seemed to be the exact same thing going on, and the results in the market were like nothing. They were like nothing at all. It was very weird. And the problem is we saw how much this guy bought into it. It was about a $2 million buy-in, right? Because whenever we received these emails, we would look at the stock, and you would look at the few days before you received any emails about the stock, and you could see and you could roughly approximate how much money that spammer had put into the stock to kind of buy in before trying to sell it off. We estimated it was about $2 million. The problem is they weren't able to let go of like any of it. They let go of some of it, right? But it was at practically nothing. So we estimated they lost about $1.2 million that week. And then week 7, they disappeared. They were gone. Just gone. We got like maybe 1 or 2 emails from that botnet the whole week. And that was it. Poof, You'll see on the scale of the graph, nobody's going up to 300 anymore. Nobody's doing anything. It's just the kind of little spammers that weren't really producing any results right now. And the one guy that was producing results, he's gone and just disappeared. So as conflicted as we were about it, we were a little sad, actually. It was kind of weird. I'd never felt sad about a spammer not sending spam, but it turned out that was the case. Then week 7, week 8, he was gone. Week 9, he was just gone forever. I think around week 10, I saw some emails from that same botnet that was, he had moved on to pushing some sweepstakes scam or something, I guess greener pastures. But in the meantime, the text-based people that were just crushing the world with their text-based spam that nobody saw, they kept spamming like crazy, and they kept going and hyping emails week after week. But in general, here's them again pushing out 900, from our perspective, 900 emails in a week. Everyone else is below 100. They're 9 times the power of everyone else, and they're getting no results. So then the next week, I think they split it up again. They